Howdy, and welcome to the Lost Rider podcast. It's an honor and privilege to address you in the capacity of an interviewer, reporter, and media member. Too many modern media outlets have forgone the integrity and responsibility required of credible information sources. What you will receive here are straightforward discussions with legislators, agency leaders, biologists, engineers, doctors, and countless other experts that have the answers to questions often circulated as kitchen table issues. The title Lost Rider may be thought of literally as well as in the metaphorical sense. While there has been the instance that I was momentarily a little turned around at night in a wilderness area, the idea of being a lost rider in life, well, that fits most folks at some time. These renderings are coming to you in the form of the 25-year-old radio program, The News from the Camp House. It still airs every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time on KULM 98.3 FM out of Columbus, Texas. The original intent was to relate outdoor topics to the general public. Immediately, it was found that all issues are relatable to the outdoors and that people are people. They all play a role and they all have a vested interest. It's this program's desire to answer common questions about how the world works, how it will operate in the future, and what's the holdup. So please listen, enjoy, and never hesitate to contact us with more questions and feedback. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, a listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune. This weekend's edition is also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. All right, tell you what, this weekend we have a special guest, Miss Rhonda Kennedy. That's right. That's correct. Miss Rhonda Kennedy. We're down here in Port Mansfield, Texas. Down here, kind of on the Lower Laguna Madre. All right. Now I'm gonna let Miss Rhonda tell you the story. There's some stuff going on down here. We're always interested in what's going on the Gulf Coast, and there's going to be more. We're going to hear more about this. There's more stuff going on in water now. This has been coming to a head for I don't know how many years, but this is part of it. So now, Miss Rhonda, you want to tell us your story?
Sure.
I'll hold it.
Okay. Like I said, we're in Port Mansfield, Texas. We are part of the Willacy County Navigation District here.
Okay.
And in a navigation district, the navigation district actually manages all the navigable waters. Okay, so the people that live here actually lease the land from the navigation district, but they own the improvements to the land.
Okay.
All right, so that's something quite different than anywhere else. In this navigation district, approximately 4 years ago, the navigation district chairman and board at that time has been talking to the Corps of Engineers who dredges the East Jetties. Now, the East Jetties is directly out of Port Mansfield, and it is the opening that goes into the Gulf of Mexico. In between that opening and Port Mansfield is the Lower Laguna Madre.
Right.
Okay. The Jetties was built in 1957. They did a low budget build on those jetties, and as soon as they finished it, it silted right back in. So in 1962, the Corps came back and they redredged it, reconstructed some of the jetties, but the problem still exists.
Okay, hang on a second. When you say jetties, I'm thinking of, maybe I'm not I don't have the right picture in my head, because when I think about jetties, I'm thinking about big concrete structures.
That's it.
Big concrete structures that kind of break the tide, or that's it?
Yes, that is the kind of jetties we're talking about. So
how do jetties silt in?
They didn't build them right.
Okay.
There's been a flaw in this program since it started in 1957. The Corps of Engineers has looked at it several times and basically determined the jetties are just too short.
Okay.
So the beach is actually touching the end of the jetties on both of the outer sides of the jetties.
Okay.
The water comes from as a southwest flow, and it comes right at the jetties, but there's not enough of the south side of the jetties to protect the silting. So it just falls right in the middle of the jetties and silts it in.
And they just fill up with sand. It fills up with sand between the jetties.
Yes, and right now they say we are currently at about a 5-foot depth in that jetties. It should be about 17 to 18 foot, but right now they say it's about 5. We were just actually out there a few days ago, and our depth reading showed approximately 8 to 10. But they say it's 5. There's actually warnings right now for boaters to be careful going through the jetties because it looks deeper than it really is. If it's only 5 foot, a lot of our larger fishing boats can't even make it out of the jetties to go fishing.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me try to wrap my head around this. Okay, you've got the Lower Laguna Madre. When you leave out of Port Mansfield, you've got the Lower Laguna Madre. Then you hit the Barrier Islands, and you hit the cut that goes out to the Atlantic. Not the Atlantic, the Gulf.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So you go, I'm sorry. Yeah, you go out through the cut into the Gulf. All right, now that cut not used for port stuff anymore? People aren't bringing in anything to port from there?
No, and therein is where we start our story. Okay. Years ago, like I said, this was built in 57, but years ago there was oil rigs offshore and they were bringing pipe in and out on barges, and we had commercial activity here in port.
Right.
Through the years, that has gone away. The shrimpers, they now go to Brownsville or Corpus. We don't have a shrimp house here anymore. We don't have a fish house. So we have no commerce, no commercial activity coming in through the jetties to Port Mansfield.
Okay.
So a few years ago, our Navigation District Board decided we needed commercial activity.
Okay.
Because the Corps supposedly told them if they did not have 100 million tonnage of cargo in and out, that they weren't going to dredge anymore. Yes. So we later found out that really wasn't the case. The Corps of Engineers made a list of all of the ports on the Gulf Coast, and they categorized them top to bottom who had the most tonnage of commercial products. And those are the ones that would get the most money for dredging, and the ones that didn't would be on the bottom of the list. That's where it put Port Mansfield, was down at the bottom of the list. So they will dredge, but that dredging could be anywhere from 5 to 10 years apart. Our jetty silts in every 2 years. Yes. So without the seawater coming in, the Lower Laguna Madre, which is already a hypersaline bay, is one of 6 in the world, the only one in the United States. And in my opinion, is overlooked as one of the best U.S. national treasures that we have. The Lower Laguna Madre is absolutely infamous for its fish. The fishing here is great. The offshore fishing is great. You can get to deep water a lot quicker from here than you can most other ports. So we have a fishing industry that is recreational fishing that is fantastic. Everybody wants to come to Port Mansfield to go fishing in the Lower Laguna Madre. Okay?
Okay.
So we have commerce, but that commerce is recreational fishing. As far as commercial, no, we don't. So without that commercial activity, there's no dredging. If there's no dredging, there's no fresh seawater coming in.
Right.
Without that, the Lower Laguna Madre, which is already hypersaline, becomes almost deadly to the fish and wildlife.
Right.
So we've got to have that seawater, which is usually about 3.5% salinity, into the bay to raise the high salinity levels that we already, to lower the salinity levels we already have. We average about a 50, which is 5 parts per 1,000 in the salinity levels. Usually it averages around 50. When it gets to 55 and higher, it actually becomes deadly to some of our fish. Deadly to the seagrass at 55. Without the seagrass, there's no place for the larvae to hatch and grow. So it's a chain reaction of devastation that can happen if we do not have the fresh seawater. Now, rain is another way of helping get some fresh water into the bay, but this part of the country doesn't get that much rain. Now, I will tell you, it has been a godsend for the last year. This area has had a lot of good rainfall, sometimes too much. That's what's kept it alive for now. But if we are at that 5 feet at the jetties, it's just a matter of months before it's silted in completely. And we have $100 million in recreational fishing activity that goes through this area. And if the bigger boats can't get out to fish, if even the smaller boats can't get out, that even stops. And if you were here, you could look out and you could see all of the boats that are parked here. People that live here, people that don't live here. Okay. There's a lot of people that come to Port Mansfield every weekend. Our parking lots are full. Visitors who come to fish, they stay in our rental houses, our hotels. There is commerce here, but it's not tonnage. It's not commercial tonnage. So we talked, last year was an election year for the Navigation Board. And our last board was dead set on the commercial activity. To the point where they were signing contracts with companies that, let's just say, they were crooks. They were fraud. It was absolute fraud. And when it was finally all revealed and the board finally listened, they canceled the contract with the company that was going to manage shipping containers. They were going to try to bring in ships into this port. Now, if you could see this port, you would laugh because it's too small. It is too small for shipping containers. Sure, some smaller barges could come in here, but they kept talking about turning Port Mansfield into a shipping container port.
Well, that's deep. Yeah, it's way deep. That'd be like Corpus.
That's right. And we're not that deep. You couldn't even dredge Port Mansfield Harbor to be that deep. And if they did bring one ship in here full of containers, it'd wipe out every dock right along the shore. The damage would be...
just not that big.
It's not that big. So what has happened here is after listening and the community here fighting against the shipping container port, the election for the Navigation District was last November, and we decided that we needed someone to run for the 2 positions that were open. One of the places was a commissioner and one was the chairman at large. So my husband, Rhonda Kennedy, he decided he would run for that position. It was a long, hard-fought campaign, like all of them are. Well, we were successful. He did win that, and he is now the chairman of the Navigation District. So we have been working as much as we can with the other commissioners to let them understand shipping containers won't work here. And after that, it's like, but here's the number one problem. So you don't have any kind of commercial activity coming through, and you stop these fraudulent companies that wanted to have a contract here. That still leaves the jetties not being dredged.
You're not getting your problem
You're not
fixed.
getting your problem fixed. So about 11 months ago, we were watching a news report, a local news channel, and the last chairman was on this, and he was talking, trying to give the people reasons why we had to be a commercial port. But every reason he gave was environmental. Every single reason he gave to get that jetties dredged on a regular basis was an environmental reason. And he even said so. He agreed that it was. So my husband and I were listening to this, and we said, why are we not addressing this problem from the environmental standpoint? Why are we not getting information on this bay what is going to happen to it when this thing silts in, what's going to happen to our fish,
Right.
what's going to happen to our wildlife, what's going to happen to our migratory birds.
Right.
And we decided at that time it was for us to start an organization that would strictly address the Lower Laguna Madre, try to find a complete solution to the silting of the jetties. And that also led to, well, there's always wastewater runoff that comes through some canals into the bay.
Right.
And that has to be monitored as well.
All right, let's pick up right there in the second half. All right, let's take a quick break. Thank the folks that let us come on here, and we'll be right back. Thank goodness for all the great sponsors we have here at News from the Camp House. H-E-B Food Stores. That's Stephen Tice at H-E-B. He helps me. He helps the community. He's a great man. I'm so thankful H-E-B loosened him up, lets him go around and sponsor a few things. H-E-B's got all your food needs. It's the greatest food store we got here in Columbus. Thank goodness for H-E-B. First State Bank. You go over to the First State Bank, they'll take care of all your loans, all your deposits, your savings, anything you need. Bunch of great hometown people over there. You got Celia Tobias, John Pollock. Everybody over there is looking out for you. Miss Barbara Barta. It's a great bunch of folks at the First State Bank is also sponsoring News from the Camp House. First State Bank takes care of all my business. Baumgart Agency, Susan Baumgart at the Baumgart Agencies, her and Germania. She told me to plug Germania. Germania is an insurance that she likes to everybody to know about. The Baumgart Agencies. Miss Susan and I are classmates, being classmates. She got me out of high school, sat right beside her, put us in alphabetical order where I could copy. And Susan Baumgart over at the Baumgart Agency taking care of all your insurance needs. Lyco Realty, one of the original sponsors of News from the Camp House. Lyco Realty, the oldest real estate company in the county, and for the last 3 years voted the favorite realtor in the county. Lyco Realty, that's Miss Kimberly Johnson, that's Crockett's granddaughter. More kinfolks and classmates and great people from Colorado County. People from Colorado County helping people from Colorado County. That's great. Oh, thank goodness for all these wonderful people come to me want to be sponsors for News from the Camp House. Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's News from the Camp House. We're down here in Port Mansfield, learning a lot of stuff about it from Miss Rhonda Kennedy. Port Mansfield, we said Port Mansfield. Okay, so it's really not a port in the essence of you think of Corpus or the ship channel in Houston or anything like that. It's nothing like that. I imagine once upon a time it was kind of a port, but it's not. It's got a lot of commercial business, a lot of fishing, a lot of stuff going on down here. But you're not going to drag a container ship in here, and that's the catch on the. Go look at any map. Go look at any map of Texas and look at the barrier islands outside of Port Mansfield, and there's a cut, and that's a shipping channel cut. It says, the map I have is what it calls it, and that is where the Lower Laguna Madre gets water from the Gulf. Now, if that silt's shut, which is what these folks are concerned about, that's what we're talking about today, that's really going to kill the Lower Laguna Madre as far as salinity and that type of stuff. Is the environmental quality of it will go to get bad. So they're trying to take care of that. That's what they're working on. And okay, we stopped in the first half. We stopped right where we were talking about some of the runoff that goes into the Lower Laguna Madre. We know we've got problems with nitrogen down there, wastewater and stuff getting in there that's not good for it, and they really need this water from the Gulf. Go ahead.
Okay, so where we were at, we formed an organization. It's called the Lower Laguna Madre Preservation Society. We have applied for our 501c3. I believe we have it. I just haven't received the official letter from the IRS yet. And with this organization, we decided that we wanted to address two situations. One, the jetties, making sure we can find a way to get it fixed, not just keep it dredged, but fix the problem.
Fix it so it doesn't silt out.
That's right. And then the other part of this is we want to monitor any wastewater runoff that we have coming into the Lower Laguna Madre. Now, I thought for sure when we started talking about this that there had to be other organizations that were looking at this. There had to be, right?
Sure. Well, it seems like an automatic for Parks and Wildlife.
It's not. They do all kinds of studies. The Corps does all kinds of studies. But there's only been one organization ever formed to address the Lower Laguna Madre. And they did a study. The University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley was doing some studies and doing some work on it, but they never completed that. They stopped in, I think, 2021, and they never completed any more studies. So I tried to find any organization that was addressing specifically the Lower Laguna Madre. That's when I found out there wasn't one. Okay. So there's one woman I spoke to. Her organization says they address the Lower Laguna Madre, but she says, no, really, we just address the Brownsville Ship Channel. Okay, so...
What about the River Systems Institute?
Nothing. There's no organizations that specifically address the Lower Laguna Madre.
Okay.
Now, Baffin Bay and Upper Laguna, absolutely. There's several. But Lower Laguna Madre, there isn't anything. So our first thought was, we're going to monitor the water that is coming in and try to get the fresh seawater in. We decided we needed some water samples, so we've talked to several different organizations, TCEQ, trying to get copies of any water samples that they had been taking, only to find out they haven't taken a water sample in the Lower Laguna Madre in 3 years. Mm-hmm. So we've asked them to start that back up again, and I believe they have. That's where Mr. Wetz from the Heart Research, right. That's where he was very helpful with us on that. Thank Michael a lot for that. But we've decided we've got to do something about this now, not wait until this thing is completely silted in and we start seeing these salinity levels get so high that we see dead fish, dead seagrass, and the migratory birds find somewhere else to go. So we are working on this right now. We're trying to get with the Army Corps of Engineers. In all of the research that we've done, we found some studies that were done. And there was a study done in 2015 called the Brazos Island Inlet Harbor Study. This was done by the Corps of Engineers. And in this study, they specifically addressed the jetties and the construction of the jetties and the silting of the jetties. Mm-hmm. And at the end of this very long report, they had 3 options. Their first option was to do nothing. But of course, immediately they said that's not an option. You cannot just ignore this. The second option was to reconstruct the jetty, specifically the south side, make it longer to catch more of that silt. And then there was a third option of some kind of a trap, a sediment trap on the inside of the jetties. Okay. So we've been trying to reach the Corps of Engineers for a couple of months now to get someone to talk to us about, after this study was done, then what? Did anything happen? Can we take another look at this study? Can we find out what can be done to get one of these 2 options worked on? Again, my husband, the Willacy County Navigation District Chairman, he was in a meeting and spoke with one of the Corps of Engineers, gentleman, I don't know his position, but he was the colonel, and they were talking about the cost of reconstructing the jetties. Uh-huh. And he said that could be at least $50 million. Okay, well, that's $50 million, but how much does it cost to dredge the jetties? Mm-hmm. Anywhere from 12 to 15 million each time they dredge. So if you're dredging every 2, 3, 4, 5 years, eventually that adds up. Sure. So let's fix the problem. And that's what this organization wants to do. We want to find a solution, not just keep throwing money at the same problem.
All right. Okay. If this, the question comes up to my mind immediately is, the silt just keeps coming. Mm-hmm. Sand just keeps coming. Mm-hmm. It'll never stop coming. I mean, that's how the barrier islands were built.
Exactly.
And they, so how do you fix it?
Well, from what I read in the study, that if the south end of the jetties was out into deeper water, that a lot of that sediment and the sand would continue on to the beach, not get trapped in the middle. That's what's happening. It's getting trapped in the middle because the jetties are so short.
Okay.
So that's what we're hoping, that we can have someone at the Corps of Engineers explain the rest of that, how we could fix it as per their study.
Okay. You just have to try to get the Corps of Engineers to agree to do this.
Well, at least agree to talk to us and tell us if one of these is a true solution. And then if it is, how do we help them get the funding to do this? Do we get it from the state? Do we, get it from federal grants? How do we do that? But before we can go ask for money to do it, we have to make sure the Corps can do it. I believe they can, but we're at the beginning of this. We've done our research. We've put together an organization. We've done a lot of research, and we're hoping that once we talk to them and they say, this is the way it works. We've done the study. Now we need someone to assist us, help us, partner with us, and actually find one of the solutions and follow through with it.
That just seems like between the Corps of Engineers and Parks and Wildlife, that just seems like that's where that belongs. At some point TCEQ will become involved a little bit when you're talking about the other stuff that runs into the Lower Laguna. So they're going to be included on the fringes of that, but it just seems like a place where it's going to be the Corps of Engineers, Parks and Wildlife, and then a matter of seeing how they've gotten stuff done up and down the coast in other places.
Oh, yeah. They've done this in a lot of different places. They just haven't done it here.
Yeah, Cedar Bayou?
Yes, I've talked to the gentleman from Cedar Bayou, and they were able to get it done.
Right.
So we want to explore all options, that's for sure. But we believe the key is the study that the Corps did. And maybe a second study might be done. I'm not sure. But our organization is willing to work for however long it takes to help raise the necessary funds to help the Corps get this done. And we're hoping $50 million is the number. But we can do it. We can work with the state legislature.
Right.
We can work with grant processes.
Right.
We already have talked to several organizations down here. CCA.
Right.
They are very excited about what we're doing. There's several ranches here. There's the King Ranch, El Sal's, and then we've talked to the East Foundation, which manages, and they are very excited about what we're doing. So I think with CCA, National Fisheries, Parks and Wildlife, all of the organizations, I'm sure, agree with what we're doing.
Right.
And with their backing, maybe we can get the Corps to do it and get some state funding or federal funding to get this done.
I think so. You sure called out the right names. All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on it. There's going to be other things that are going to impact this.
There is.
They're talking about desal plants and all kinds of other stuff going on. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and this is one aspect of the equation that we're going to, we want to know how it's all going to work out so that the Lower Laguna is protected. Laguna Madre stays as good as it's ever been.
And again, this is a very overlooked national treasure down here.
Right.
Anyone that's fished the Lower Laguna Madre will tell you of its beauty, its abundance of fish, the wildlife in the area. And I just can't imagine any organization, Corps or whoever, that would not protect that.
Right.
And we don't want to wait until we have to repair damage, to do this. We want to do it now before major damage begins.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on this. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this morning's edition, News from Camp House. Look at the map. Look at the barrier island right across from Port Mansfield. That cut is sanding shut. Has to stay open. Okay, so that's what these folks are trying to take care of. Now, this weekend's edition is also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, the country club for folks who don't have a country club. Now, y'all go out, have a good time, have lots of fun this weekend, be safe, and y'all just remember, pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.